We're going to go ahead and get started. So we have a really great recording, and I'm just so thrilled you all are here tonight. This is Bobby and I absolutely love what we do, and we love sharing this with people. So I'll keep letting people in. But this is an industry that we've been in for 33 years, and what we have to share with you has changed a lot over the years for us. But I can't think of a better industry to be in these days. And as we go through that, I'll share more and more of that with you. But like I said, we've been in this industry now for 33 years. Got involved at a time where my husband had a very traditional business. He was in the art and picture frame business, had some retail stores and stuff. But as he was building that business, about 11 years into it, what happened is, oh, we're still letting people in. What happened as he was building that business is he had someone who did a reorganization, a supplier of his, and what happened is he didn't get paid his receivables. They paid like 10 cents on the dollar when they did this reorganization. And, it really put him out of business at that point. And luckily, as that business was closing, someone came in and showed him a way that he could still be in business without having to have all the traditional overhead of expenses of starting over. Every time he built the store out, just the store without any inventory was like 60,000. So he had invested a lot in that business, but in order to be his own business, to his own boss, to be in business again, he didn't have the money. So this was an industry where we were able to start up, and it's had many different seasons for us as we go through. Originally when we got started, we thought it might be something that would hold him over till he found out what he was really going to do, quote unquote. Wound up replacing his income that very first year, which was very exciting. But what it did over the next couple of years, or actually next couple of decades, was it allowed us to raise our kids together, where he was able to be at every baseball game, bus stop, school play, anything like that that we chose, because we could choose to make our own schedule at that point, because again, we were in business for ourselves. Our business no longer owned us. And then more recently, the boys are all grown. We've started this new venture about 8 years ago. And, it's just, again, allowed us to have a tremendous amount of time freedom to really to be there. Now, a different season. Our parents are older and they need us now. And we have a granddaughter and, different responsibilities. But we're able to do all that very easily because of the time freedom and the money and really the health benefits that we can make with this. We've been married for 45 years. We have 3 grown boys. As I said, in this business now for 33 years, this industry, we've done well over 200 million in team sales, and we absolutely love, love, love what we do. But before I show you a little bit how special what we have is, keep in mind this is a publicly traded company. We're on the NASDAQ. We have patented activation science that is just really going to blow your mind. We get to earn money, lots of repeat income, sky's the limit, so you're going to love, love. My husband will show you, give you a glimpse of what can be earned. That should be on your mind, dream big. And then the system that we use to build this. So, the first thing we want to talk about is health. And today's health is different than it was maybe even just a few decades ago. When you think about it, for years, people did not do anything about their health until it was in trouble, until it needed to be fixed. Well, nowadays we're definitely more proactive in that sense, where we're going and maybe we're doing more doctor visits, more routine blood tests. We're wearing, you can't see my picture, but you're wearing wearables. Maybe you've got an iWatch on or the rings or whatever. We're adding hormones and we're adding supplements to what we're doing. In fact, some 70 to 75% of us use some type of supplementation, even if it's only a multivitamin, a vitamin C or a D. But check out these figures. 50 billion are being spent in 2024 on the supplementation industry. And we have something even better than supplementation. So you can imagine that's a huge market share. People are obviously interested in better health, preventing their health, staying healthy, because what happens now is if we don't stay healthy, we're living longer. And as we get older, more disease creeps in. And we're going to talk more about that. More disease means more sickness, which definitely has a problem with our lifespan and our lifestyle because we need to be taken care of and on all these types of drugs and stuff. The anti-aging market there, 80 billion in 2024, and you can see how that has grown tremendously as well. But what about time? It's really gotten sad these days. People's time is not what it used to be. I think that's probably the one thing most people want more of. And a lot of that is because of the way people are working these days. When you think about it, in 2010, they were working an extra 7.9 hours, or they were working 7.9 hours per day, went to 8.4 hours. Well, that's only a half an hour per day, but if you look at that per week, that's 2.5 hours per week. Three and a half? Three and a half. Okay. But it's another 10 per month. Over time, it's like 120 per year or an additional 3 years per no, it's 2.5. 2.5. Half hour times five is 2.5. But it's an additional like 120 hours would be an additional 3 weeks per year that you're working over and above that we did in 2010. So people are just working more. And here in the United States, we work more than anywhere else around the world at this point. But the other thing is even more concerning is how long we're working. In 2010, it was 17%. In 2024, it was 20% of us are working past the age of 65. Now, that can mean, part-time work or, doing something a little bit different than we've presently done. And 3% doesn't seem like a lot, but think about it, 3% based on the millions and millions of people that live here in the United States, it's a lot. It's a lot of people working a lot longer than they care to work, and we're working in 2010. I can tell you, I know back to my husband's parents and my parents, they all retired at early ages, mid 50s and stuff. And now it's not uncommon to see people working well into their 60s and 70s. But what about money? I don't think people are necessarily a bad steward of money these days, but I think that the rate, and actually I know the rate for which people are earning has certainly outpaced expenses. I mean, it's sticker shock going to the food store these days and, just buying anything, certainly our earnings has not kept up with it. And it shows it in the amount of credit card debt because people are using their credit cards to get by at this point. So in 2014, it was zero point 0.7 trillion in debt that was had here in the United States. Today, it's 1.3 trillion. And again, that's just in 10 years, almost doubling at that point. But what about the first time home buyer? This is really skyrocketed. This is all over the news. You can't get away from this. In 1980, it was 29 was the age of the first time home buyer. 2024 it was 36. And now it's as high as almost the age of 40. But let me put that, I pulled some statistics earlier. The average home back in the 1980s was 47,000. The average salary at that point was 21,000. So in order to buy that house, it was 2.2 times your annual income. So you need to save 2.2 times the amount of money that you make, per year. So 2.2 years of working. In 2024, the average home was 420,000. That had gone up considerably. The salary was only 63,000. But you now had to work 6.5 to 7 times or 7 years in order to get the same monies for that house. So it went from 2.2 years of salary earnings to afford the house to 6.5 to 7 years. So big difference there. So again, it's not people's really fault. It's how expensive things have got, and our wages have not kept up with that. But we've got an answer to that and something that we are super excited about. We take it to make it. And this is that newer science that I'm going to go ahead and share with you. There's a way that we can flip the switch on aging pathways so that we can feel and look like we did when we were much younger. Super science. We're the only ones that have it. But it also allows us an opportunity to earn extra income, small, big, whatever kind of income you want. There's people doing all types of different things, and we'll get into that. Free travel, just last year we got, the company paid a trip to South Africa. We went to Mexico. We had an Alaskan cruise, and we just won a trip to Thailand. So, that's all based on what the company is doing for us. It's kind of like a perk, and they've got a lot of perks that they give us. But the big thing is we have an opportunity to make a difference for others. I love sharing this business, whether it's the products to help someone with their health or it's the opportunity to help them with their income. And really, it kind of creates a movement. I mean, I can't ever see a time where Bobby and I might not do this because we absolutely love the people that we get to work with. And I love having all this cutting edge knowledge about trying to put off aging or aging as gracefully as I can. But this is the first of our products, and it has a great story behind it. It's probably one of the few products out there that was a product before it had a company, and they needed to find a company for this very special product. And what it does is it reduces a medical term called oxidative stress. And you can go ahead and Google this. And oxidative stress is the difference between the free radicals our body creates while we're eating, breathing, exercising, and the amount of antioxidants we try to take in. We can't do a good job, and I'll show that with you. But what happens is when we reduce this oxidative stress, we reduce all disease, aging, and inflammation. And that's all on the rise, so much more than our grandparents had to deal with or our parents, because we now have 80,000 toxins. Our bodies are inflamed more than ever. We're under stress. There's pollutants, there's EMFs. There's so many things that we are dealing with that they did not have to deal with. But pretty cool for us that we have the only product out there that reduces this oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days in 100% of people. And so it creates more than 1 million times per second the antioxidant value. And equate that to foods that we might be able to eat. In order to get the same benefits from this one plant-based pill that's got 5 plant-based ingredients in it, we would need to ingest every day 400 oranges, 500 cups of broccoli, 110 cups of blueberries, and 120 tablets of vitamin C if we could. I mean, it probably is definitely cost prohibitive. I don't know anybody that could do that. The vitamin C would be, deadly for us. So that's really not an option. Taking the one pill is a much easier way to do. But you can see here on this chart, without Protandim, and it's kind of common sense. As people get older, we know aging starts in our 20s now. And so maybe 30s and 40s is some gray hair and wrinkles and a little bit of weight gain. And then it starts to be, disease. And they go on to say how many people over the age of over 65 are on medications and needing to use different devices to just be healthy these days. Well, if you're using a product like Protandim, for every month that you're on Protandim, you reduce a whole decade of this oxidative stress. Again, oxidative stress is disease, inflammation, aging. So you're reducing a whole decade by just using it for every month. So much so that if you're around for 60 years and you're on it for 6 months, your blood is back to that of a 20-year-old, which is so exciting. So you can imagine how this is different than anything else out there. And we've got the patents on it every which way that you can imagine. So we have something that is truly unique. But this starts all of our products. But look at the credibility that we have. There's a site called pubmed.gov, and you can go to that site. It's kind of like your doctor's Google. And there are well over 320,000 studies now on oxidative stress. And I'm not in the medical field. Bob's not in the medical field. But we do know when you type in oxidative stress and any disease state, you read the summary, and everybody can pretty much make out the summary. It says when you reduce oxidative stress, you reduce whatever disease that is. And you can see that it's the heart, the eyes, the organs, the blood vessels, the kidney. It is all over our bodies. So really, when you think about it, everybody needs this product. And we have tons and tons of different testimonies. But look at the third-party validation. These are independent medical universities and institutions, National Institute of Aging, National Institute of Health, that have done their own studies on this product. I mean, how many nutritional products are in your kitchen cabinet that have studies on the product itself? I would bet none. I would bet it just doesn't happen. And here we have over 30 on this one particular product. So super exciting. And like I said, this starts where activation on all of our products does. So we've got a collagen product. And I got to tell you, when the collagen came out, I thought, oh, collagen, wrinkles. I see it on Instagram, I see it on Facebook. People really aren't getting the results that they perceive with the pictures and stuff. Well, that's not true because we have firsthand. But you know what we do know? Because we ingest our collagen, it's in a liquid form. It tastes great. It's kind of like an apple kind of juice. It tastes really good, easy to get down. But the benefits are, our eyes are 91% collagen, our heart, our lung, nail, hair, everywhere you can imagine, because we do know that collagen is the largest protein in the body, and we really need it for all the different health benefits besides just the way it looks on the outside. But a cool thing happened with our company. Most of us were on the Protandim, the product I just described, because we wouldn't go a day without it. And then this collagen came along, and we all took our before picture, and then we took our picture 30 days later. And the company was noticing all these pictures and they were like, wow. So they went back and did another test on the gene of using the Protandim and the liquid collagen. It produces 100% more collagen than anything else out there. They did all the gene studies and stuff. And so we are the only activator, we can say that, the only activator of collagen in our bodies. We add 10 different collagen peptides, and we also don't allow the collagen to be destroyed in our bodies because of the gene that we turn on. So, there's so much going on with this collagen, but the proof is really always in the pictures. When you look at it, I mean, you can look at his crow's feet there. His face looks much, much smoother. But like I said, collagen is all over. Look at her legs. Look at all these different areas of the body that, again, I thought just face and wrinkles. And I was wondering why my picture's not in here. I've gotten amazing results as well too. So great results with this product line. But what about weight loss? Is that not a big market? I mean, particularly this time of the year with everybody being snowed in all over the place. But we have something that can help with weight loss, unlike anything else out there. You may have heard of GLP-1. We have a natural GLP-1, so no shots, no drugs, nothing synthetic. It's all natural. It's just 2 pills you take in the morning, first thing, and then there's a little bit of powder later in the day. But it helps lessen the food noise so that refrigerated kitchen's not calling you all the time. You're feeling fuller longer, no need to snack between meals. You're just spending less time thinking about the food, and therefore you're eating less. There's fewer late night cravings, and people are losing weight. And again, this is an all-natural product that over time increases the GLP-1 hormone by 200%. And there's 2 different clinical trials on that. Lose 9 pounds. And again, this depends on where you start, but lose 9 pounds in 8 weeks and 25 pounds in 12 weeks. So you can see how activation, as you get it into your body, builds and builds. This is very important. 100% who lost weight maintain their muscle mass. So super important there. But look at where the reduction, and you'll see some of the pictures in a minute, 27% reduction in that fat around the middle, the stomach. Ladies, we know stomach area is hard as we get older, 5% reduction in body fat. And we do have, as all of our products, either patent pending or they're already patented. But you can see, again, look at the results that these ladies have gotten, particularly some of the really tough areas around the middle there. And we're just getting great results with this product as well. Another activation product, and I think everyone knows gut health is big. People are super concerned with gut health these days, and again, that's because of the stress, the toxins in our food. It could be, the antibiotics, birth control pills. There's so many things out there that are causing us to have poor gut health. If you've been on an antibiotic, you have poor gut health, they say, from a year to 15 months. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. But this one product is more than just a gut health product because it's got a lot of stuff in it. It's got, all your different colors of the rainbow for fruits and vegetables, but it's got your prebiotics, it's got your probiotics, your postbiotics, it's got your detox binder in there. It's a glutathione precursor, which, if you know about that, is very important. Lots and lots of different things in this one product. It's really, really easy to use. It's 2 packs. We mix it in water or yogurt or milk or whatever you want. But why is this important? Again, we've done so much damage to our gut. There's a huge connection between the gut and the brain. And really, it regulates our immune system and so many different things, skin problems. But, if people have healthy cells, they have healthy tissues, they have healthy organs, they have healthy systems, and then they have a healthy body. So this is so important. And once you get your gut right, it just makes everything else work better, whether, it be weight loss, collagen, anything, it just works better once your gut is better. So here it's got 84 microbiome friendly ingredients, 15 targeted probiotics, 10 globally sourced botanical blends, two powerful formulations. Remember, I said they're in two different packets, one superior system that we are just getting amazing results with. But I could go on and on and on. We have so many great products. But keep in mind, we don't just supplement, we activate. We are not just adding to the body, we are making the body do what it did when it was younger. So whether it's the cells, the system, the brain, the gut, the tissues, the immune system, we have an amazing skin and hair and also a pet product on here. But I'm going to invite my husband to come and show you more about our opportunity, what we need to do, what kind of money can be made, a little bit of the big picture. So Bobby, if you'll come and join us, I'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for giving us some time this evening, to learn more about this. And, April said earlier, we've been in the industry for 33 years. We've now been with LifeVantage, the company that we're talking to you about for the last eight years. And it's amazing knowing what the products do, knowing that there's no competition, knowing we have the patents on the activation, that's the next generation of supplements. We need more voices out there to spread the word. See, we're the best kept secret out there. We have the highest reorder rate of all products in the industry. Once people get on them, they stay on them. They work great. But we need more voices to help spread the activation story. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, number one, who do you know that may want to feel better, lose weight, earn money? Okay, but it's not just who you know. When you understand the general population out there is looking to be healthier and looking to at least have a second source of income, if not maybe replace their primary income. Now, April had mentioned earlier, we are publicly traded, but we're only 16 years old, and that's a big part of the reason why so many people haven't heard of us yet. We are a USA-based company where our headquarters is in Utah. We're on the NASDAQ under LFVN, but here's something in today's world that is mind-boggling. We are debt-free. I mean, we don't owe a penny to anybody. We have $17 million in cash on hand. And that's after we already acquired another company, that April was talking a little bit about the gut health. I mean, we're governed by a board of executives, our board that are formerly with Coca-Cola, Airbnb, Google, SC Johnson. I mean, this is a really, really good company, and it's still a secret. So let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel, maybe on payday, maybe at the end of the month, but do you ever feel you're in a financial tug of war? I mean, think about it. And here's what most of the time, what most people are doing, they're trying to do it alone. And what do I mean by that? Trying to fix it based on their own efforts. And there's only 24 hours a day in a day, there's only 7 days in a week, there's only 365 days in a year. Wouldn't it make more sense to build a team and do it with a team? When you have a team of people doing something and maybe you don't feel good one day, maybe you're sick, maybe you want to take a vacation, maybe you want time off. Well, you may not work that day, but the team is still working. So I want to share what April and I have learned to do as professions over the 33 years we're in the business and the 8 years that we're with LifeVantage. Okay. And it all starts, and I'm going to tell you the catch. Okay. I'm going to tell you the hardest part of doing this business. And that is saying yes to doing it. Okay. That's the hardest part. Okay. Now I'm going to give you an example of I'm going to talk about earning 10% on every product sale that we make, but I want you to keep in mind that goes up to 30%. Okay. But for illustration purposes, I want you to understand this. The hardest thing to do in this business is to say yes. But when you say yes and you say, I'm ready to move my family forward, I'm ready to make a change, okay? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired of paycheck to paycheck. It is time to make a change. Once you make that decision, it gets easier, okay? So look at this example. And remember, tug of war, going it alone or doing it with a team. Well, think about this. What if you, with our help, okay, help five people do $1,000 in sales, okay, monthly, okay, do 1,000 in sales. So that could be five, six, seven customers, something like that, okay, depending on which products they decided to use. That in itself, just you and five people, you'd be earning a minimum of $500 a month. Not a ton of money, maybe a couple weeks worth of groceries, maybe a car payment. Okay, but look, that's spare time. Okay, that's not a lot of time involved. But look at what happens if we duplicate. Okay, and we help the five people get five people so they can earn $500. Well, now you earn 2250. But how many did you get? Well, you got five. Okay. But now there's 30 plus you, there's 31 in your business. And nobody's doing more than $1,000 worth of business. Okay. We're not talking about any superstars, anything huge here. We're just talking about using a model that works, that has worked for us for 33 years, that's allowed us to do over $200 million in sales. But what if we did that one more time? And we helped the 30 people get five of their own. Do you realize that's 155 people? That's not an army. Okay, it's a nice handful of people. Everybody's doing $1,000. Do you know your commission on that is 11,000 a month minimum? You're looking at making about 130, 140,000 a year with just 155 people. Nobody knocking them dead, nobody doing anything spectacular. Well, I got news for you. Out of 155 people, you're going to find people that are doing more than that, more than $1,000. Okay. But I want you to understand that is all it takes to build a business and have a nice, solid six-figure income. There's so much more to it, folks. But I'm telling you, when you have the products that we do, the system that we have, okay, and the ability to duplicate like we do, it doesn't take a whole lot to end up after a couple years with a whole lot. So this is why April and this is why we're so excited what we're doing. And you do not, and I'll repeat that, you do not need to take my word for it or April's word for it or whoever invited you on here, their word for it. You can just go to the NASDAQ, look up LFVN for LifeVantage, and it'll show you the commissions that the consultants earn right in here. And this is the example that I gave you right here. I only said 11,000. Our official statement says 13,000 a month. Okay. So you can verify that and check that out for yourself. But that's the one thing every quarter when you're publicly traded, there's a financial update posted online for everybody to look at. But we love the people part of it. And you heard April say that before. You end up, when people get involved in the business, you end up being friends and business partners for life. I mean, you end up traveling together all over the world. You end up building businesses together. And this is the part that never gets old. It's so much fun doing that with people from all walks of life, from people with legal backgrounds, medical backgrounds, corporate backgrounds, entrepreneurial backgrounds, all kinds of different backgrounds. And here's the best part, folks. Years ago, the first company that we were with, we were actually with a company for 25 years. That was our first career. It's where we went when I lost my picture frame business. And back then it took a chunk of money to get started. Okay. The entrance in that business to get started, the first level to start was 5,000. and it went up to 20,000, 40,000, and up from there. It was almost like buying a franchise back then, 30 years ago. Do you know what's involved now? You choose an enrollment package to start your business from between $250 and $999. And the packages are all the same as far as what you get. Okay, the only difference is some have more products in it than others. And based on some of the things April talked about, you may want to say, well, you know what? I'd like the collagen and I'd like the weight loss product and I'd like the Protandem. So I'm going to get a $400 or $500 pack instead of a $200 pack. But that's up to you. But that's a one-time, okay, business decision, and you're in business. And then you pick the product or products you want to use personally each month and go on subscription. And we start building a business. Okay. All the marketing material, the website, and I think that's on my next slide. Yeah. If you're wondering if you can do this, this is kind of a plug and play business. If you're watching us tonight, you're watching us because somebody sent you an invitation. Okay, it might have been me, it might have been April, might have been Kenneth, might have been who knows who sent it to you. Okay, but you got an invitation. Well, that's how easy it could be for you to do this business. All we do is become masters at inviting people to look at what we're doing. So we give you an app for your phone. We have a system that's duplicatable. We do weekly trainings on Sunday evenings. If Sunday evening doesn't work for you, they're recorded. You can watch it the next day. And there's events and live opportunity presentations and communities that are all part of the equation when you decide to join us in business. Now, I love this quote. And Jim Rome, he had many a quote, but I'd like you to take this to heart for a second. Life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. And you and I both know we all have a lot of things that go through our heads. And boy, I wish, or someday I will, or, we have all that stuff. Change is what makes life better. And all you got to do is say yes to change and start yourself a business and LifeVantage with us, and that change will occur. So I want to thank you for taking a little bit of time to find out a little bit more about our products and business. But here I have a request for you before I go back to the live screen. Somebody told you about this Zoom, this opportunity presentation this evening. Someone told you about it. Please reach out to the person who did and let them know you were on, and do one of three things. Okay. Say, hey, I still have some questions I'd like to get answered. Or say, hey, I love what I heard about the products. I want to try some of them. Or I love what I heard about the business and I'd like to start earning another income on top of the one I got. And maybe it's both. Maybe the products pushed your buttons and you figure, well, why not do the business, and at least do the business to cover the cost of the products. But let them know you attended the Zoom. Let them know, if you're ready to get started or if you have questions. And, if April or I invited you, just text us with a good time to call you so we can answer your questions. But let me stop sharing this and just finish things out. Up there you are. Number one, thank you for those of you that April said this, who turn your camera on. You know, I don't know if you've done or you do Zooms, but it really is nice to see smiling faces looking back at you when you're doing a Zoom. So thank you so much for doing that. But we really appreciate you taking, 30, 35 minutes out of your evening to learn more about what we're doing. We're super excited about it. We can't wait to meet you in person. A lot of us are going to go to Las Vegas to a big conference in April. We'd love to see you there. But please get back to the person that gave you the link or told you about this Zoom and this meeting tonight, and let them know your thoughts, let them know what questions you have. If you invited someone and for some reason they weren't able to attend, we did record this and this will be available tomorrow to share with anyone that you want to share it with. So Have a great evening. God bless you. Stay warm. The weather is kind of ugly in this country right now. I mean, we're in just outside Orlando, Florida, and it's 30 degrees at night. So it's everything. I heard something on the news this morning. They said it was 19 degrees in Boston and it was 19 degrees in Mississippi. And I'm like, how in the world does that happen? You know, that all the way up north and all the way down south, and it was the same temperature, 19 degrees. So, anyway, stay warm, everybody. God bless you. And we'll talk to you real soon. Good night. Bye bye.